Bro, like Logan Paul probably handled that shit the healthiest I've ever seen. That colossal of an L.
That joint was wild.
That colossal of an L can definitely break a man.
Film the guy getting hung or something.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I never.
Bro, because it was like when he made his apology video. That shit had like 100 million views off rip. That shit was like its own music video. And it was like real news outlets like...
Did he premiere that shit or did he just drop it?
Premiering an apology? Oh,
what if he
premiered
that? That would have been wild.
That would have been... That's some arrogant ass shit. That shit premiered. Like, yeah, I know I fucked up, but this shit about to bang.
Oh, nah. That shit is... Bro,
the toxic side of me would have to respect it. The toxic side of me would have to respect it, because that's just like the toxic part of me that appreciates the marketing strategy of 6ix9ine, but like the wholesome side of me would not be proud of that.
Jive. Like 6ix9ine Jive is a marketing genius.
Yeah. Cause that much negative attention can definitely break a man. That's crazy. Logan Paul really went through that shit.
Came out on top too.
You know what was so crazy? When that shit first happened, I watched it and then my friends watched it and then we were talking about that shit in the group chat. So like the first time I saw it, I wasn't fazed by that shit at all, because you know how many times like you just see people recording dead bodies on Twitter? Like that shit didn't faze me as much as it should have when I first seen it.
I never watched it.
Like even when they didn't blur out his they in the original video they did blur out his face. That was they blurred out his face, but they didn't blur out the body, but you could like see that his hands was like cold and shit, and like he was purple. Like he had been like you could tell the body the person had been there for a while.
Bro,
that's what you seen in the original video.
In that situation, bro.
Like, where was he even?
Like, bro.
But like when you get that was him getting sucked up in that content, because when you start becoming that type of machine where it's like I got to pump out the latest vlog every single day. Those mistakes will happen. Like what I do with my videos is like after I record it, like y'all see, like I'll be sending it to people and shit, getting an analyst. I think I would have sent, like, even if I didn't pick up on my radar, like I should not be recording a dead body and posting that shit on the internet. I think somebody would have caught that and be like, bro, I don't think you should. But it's like even with that, so like
I need to post.
Even with that, like because you could tell he didn't have like real
people around
and ill intentions with that video. It was just kind of like it's one of those things that happens. Like he wasn't trying to exploit the dude, but it was like that shit ended up becoming the main focus of the vlog.
Oh, so it was just a regular vlog that just started off. So he was like, "We're about to go to the fucking suicide forest."
So his vlog, like, because he was doing vlogs where like he would just travel the world and shit, and just like experience a bunch of different things or whatever. And there was one where he was vlogging in Japan, and then it was like one day. It was like one episode was he was going to the suicide forest. So he was giving like, it was like a really well shot, like beautifully shot video too. It was like, it was showing like aerial vision of the forest and shit. And it was like the suicide forest from 19 whatever, you know, they were like giving like a little back history and shit to it too. Like it was a really well constructed video. Like that, like when I went to go watch the video, like during the controversy, I was like, damn, this is a really good video.
How long did it take him to delete it?
Like he had deleted it like so
because I never watched the video.
Within the day the negative feedback started coming. Like it was definitely like he had posted it in the morning and people were already on his ass. So then he was like, fuck, because you got to remember like the Paul brothers that was the period where they were really getting like the center of attention, negative energy and shit. Because there's a lot of people that are like beloved on YouTube enough that shit would have slipped under the radar for a lot longer than it would have been for somebody like Logan Paul. So like he had posted it within the day. They started saying they're disgust or whatever. They're like, you need to take this down. He took it down, but people already saved the video. So they started reposting that shit all over the internet.
Oh, nah. I never seen...
Like there was like uncut, unedited, like the regular versions that he had posted.
The video, bro.
And then it got like people were reposting where they were like still showing the body. And then like when the entire YouTube came on Logan Paul's ass, they couldn't even show that. Like, they would have to cut that part of the Suicide Forest video and continue their video. But yeah, that was a really crazy time. I don't know, like once somebody was like, bro, you can't just show a dead body. I was like, yeah, that's really fucked up. Like, you can't. But like I was like, bro, the internet has desensitized me to that shit so much.
Twitter has made me like,
it definitely like, yeah, it definitely took me a second to process like how fucked up that really was. But it's like 2 years, 3 years after the fact, it's like you gotta kind of just look at it as one of those mistakes that a person makes, and it's like, you know, that's one of those things that you can only move forward from.
Yeah. I don't feel like it was that bad to cancel him though. I feel like it was just like,
but at the time, that shit was definitely like career-ending worthy. Well, I mean, like that's the level that it had got to. Like he could have easily stayed Suicide Forest guy for the rest of his life. You know, it was that level of attention. But he persevered through that shit. That's crazy. You got to give it up to him. Cause I'll be watching his podcast now. His podcast is tough.
Bro, but Logan is always been like, I fuck with Logan way more than Jake. Like Logan, like is kind of even creative. Paul was like, Jake is just cringy.
Yeah, Jake Paul, like,
just cringe,
and I can kind of empathize with him too, because there were like he had went on Logan Paul's podcast and he was talking about like he kind of just like became like a character and shit, like he got sucked up in the content too, and he said something that really kind of like resonated with me too, because he said from like the time that shit started really getting serious to like a point where he took a step back, it was like he kind of lost those years. There was periods where it definitely was feeling like I'd lose time and then I'd take a step back, because it would be like I would be so consumed by like because bro, YouTube is a full-time job. Like people be trying to make it seem like, oh, like YouTube is so much easier than the 9 to 5. Like there was times where I was definitely contemplating like going back to a 9 to 5 instead of YouTube because of how fucking stressful this shit is. And it's like it takes up, like when you really grinding this shit out, it takes up all of your day, bro. Like there was periods where like 7, 8, 9, 10 hours straight, I'm working like nonstop.
Yeah, but that's what YouTubers be saying. YouTubers be like, bro, like this is not easy. Y'all think I just record, vlog, and post? Like this shit is like editing is wild. Yeah,
bro. Like it got to a point where it was just like I have to let up on myself. Like I can't give it like this much. Like this is to a point where like I don't even have a life outside of this shit. On top of the fact that I'm not even sleeping well, I'm not eating right. Like, bro, this shit is really like when people are skinny before they start YouTube and then they get fat as fuck. It's like, there was a period where I got fat too, like doing this shit, because I was just staying in the house, just like grinding it out every single day, nonstop. Like my acne was bad. Shit definitely like can consume you. Jake Paul had that shit on a whole different stratosphere as well. So it's like
you can relate.
I can relate to him talking about how it feels like he lost time, and he was like he had lost some years during all that hype and everything. But Logan Paul, because I was never really big on either of them.
Yeah.
But Logan Paul, like...
If I stumbled upon the Logan Paul video and it looked interesting enough, I'll watch it.
Yeah, there was like a couple Logan Paul videos that I'd watched, and I was like, oh, okay, this was cool, or whatever. And then I just kind of went about my day.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad.
The only Jake Paul stuff I would watch is if somebody was making a video against him, because it's like, I can't get through the content. Like, this shit just like was
it's
too...
not for you, bro.
It definitely wasn't for me. It definitely wasn't for me. I think that's why he lost a lot of his battles, too, with these other people on YouTube, because his fan base was just not like old enough to defend him. like they were not old enough and toxic enough to defend him. Like sometimes when you're really in the heat of like the internet beefs and shit, like I know a lot of these people be wanting like a Leafy following. Yeah. Even though like but Leafy's following be coming with some baggage too. Yeah. Like the Keems, like isn't Keemstar under some fire?
Me, my nigga, Pat in this bitch. We bout to spaz out. Have you running laps in this bitch? We bring them tracks out. Me, my niggas deep in this bitch, and we can't back out. I be going deep in that bitch. I make a tab out.